fans, I am back here to do another collection video, this time about my rock and roll library, all my books on heavy metal and rock and roll in general, and also of different bands in particular as well. As you know from some of the videos here on this channel, I also like to read a lot, so I also have, of course, some books on the subject that I love, which is rock and metal. Let's get started. First with Black Sabbath here. And we'll start with this one. Black Sabbath, for the record, an oral history. It's a very thin book with a lot of excerpts from interviews throughout the years. Okay, there's a lot of interesting stuff here, because it's a bit more candid than other books that you may have read. Black Sabbath, an oral history. Black Sabbath, Never Say Die, right there, from the Rock Detector series by Gary Sharp Young, 1979 to 97. So this covers a very particular era for the band, the latter days. And I believe they had not yet reunited with Ozzy in this one. I had to check the dates, but it has that, a lot of interesting stuff from that in-between period. All of the Dio stuff, the stuff with Ray Gillen. Okay, really a lot of really good information here. Back cover, and yes, it has. Most of these have some pictures in them. And then, of course, by Martin Popoff, the famous writer of rock and metal, Black Sabbath, here, Doom Let Loose, and illustrated history. Very cool stuff here. And this one is profusely illustrated in color. Really recommend this, and I recommend any book by Martin Popoff, in fact. Now let's move on to Rush with a couple of books. Here again by Martin Popoff. Contents Under Pressure. 30 Years of Rush, At Home and Away. And by the title, 30 years, because it's been much more than 30 years since the beginning of Rush. We're going on 50, almost, right here. And of course, Neil Peart was still alive. And this is pretty much an album by album, a chronicle of the band. Really good. And Martin Popoff has since written some more books on Rush, with delve more deeply into each of the eras. Contents Under the Pressure, 30 Years of Rush at Home, and I highly recommend, like I said, any book by Popoff. A book written here by their drummer, Neil Peart, Ghostwriter. There you go. This is a chronicle of his travels on motorcycle, right there. And it was written after he had lost both his daughter, tragically, and his wife also. So he had just understandably got away for a long while and just hit the road, to heal those wounds. Great one by Neil Peart. I also have this other book by Neil Peart, Far and Away, A Prize Every Time, which I don't have physically because I bought it digitally and read it on my Kindle. This is far less somber than the previous book, Ghostwriter. It chronicles his travels on motorcycle after the Snakes and Arrows tour, either by himself or with a traveling companion. It is a part of a trilogy of books, the other two being Far and Near and Far and Wide. I have not yet read those. But anyway, rest in peace, Neil Peart. You are sorely missed. Now for some ZZ Top. Again, this one by David Blaine. Right there. And it is called Sharp Dressed Men. ZZ Top, right there. I'm going to put the titles, authors, and years, the year of publication of each of these books, so that way you can get an idea of what era they cover, or rather up to what era, up to what year. Let's go to Led Zeppelin now. A band that I have read much about here. I have my Spanish language book called Guía Musical de Led Zeppelin. This is Musical Guide to Led Zeppelin by Dave Lewis, and it is album by album a chronicle. So it talks about the songs and the album. Pretty thin book, but a lot of good information. Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin Uncensored, a whole bunch of stories, wild stories from the road, which is here written by Richard Cole, which I believe was a roadie for Zeppelin, and a really good friend of John Bonham. Okay, Stairway to Heaven, Led Zeppelin Uncensored. This one also contains, like I said, most of these contain pictures in them. One very specific book, When the Levee Breaks, The Making of a Led Zeppelin 4, right here, by Andy Fife. Really goes in deep into that classic album. When the Levee Breaks, Making of Led Zeppelin 4, everything you may want to know about that. Very much condensed version of that book, or rather the concept of that would be this one that comes in a CD case. The Making of Led Zeppelin's 4 Symbols or 4. It is part of the compact book right there, and it's compact this case, but inside there's this book. Okay. A lot of cool, really tidbits of information right there. And of course, here we have Dazed and Confused, the stories behind every song. So every single song Led Zeppelin recorded is in here, along with commentary on that song of how it came about, how it was, some stories of how it was recorded. Okay, profusely illustrated with really great pictures. Let's move to some general rock books here. We have The Definite Illustrated Encyclopedia of Rock. Okay, this was a gift that was given to me. Just a whole bunch of stuff. It's a good reference right there. Very thick. A lot of illustrations. This is not a rock book per se, but it is a great book to peruse through right there. Electric guitars right here. The Illustrated Encyclopedia. So everything you may want to know about the ultimate rock instrument. Okay. I don't play the guitar myself, but it's a cool book to have. Something very much associated with rock and metal is, of course, having a rock and metal T-shirt. Even though I'm not wearing one right now, only my battle jacket. Here it is, Rock Tees, right there. The golden years of rock T-shirts. Okay, a lot of cool stuff here. When they say the golden years, they kind of mean the 80s and part of the 90s, right there. Rock Tees. A book here by an artist that is very much associated with rock, especially progressive rock. It is a Roger Dean, Views. There you go. And of course, many of these of his works were done for album covers, specifically for Yes, Budgie, Uriah Heep, and this band, which I forget the name of, but I'm going to put it in the bottom right there in the text. I believe this one was for a Yes album. Really cool stuff here. Views. by Roger Dean. I have another Roger B. Dean book. And through the magic of editing, I am back on another day because it took me days to find the other book, which is A Magnetic Storm here by Roger Dean. Okay, so this one has even more of his work, not just for rock album covers, but for just the graphic design in general. So there's a lot of great stuff here. And of course, besides Yes, he's also most known for Asia, right? He created the Asia logo as he did also the Yes logo. There's stuff of the, and also created some of the stage shows for Yes. The stage designs. Okay, so Magnetic Storm here by Roger Dean. There's one more that I don't have. It's called Dragon's Dream. All right, so I hope to get that one in the future. Now let's move on to the Beatles. I only have two books, though they're pretty good. The first one is this very small book here called Here, There, and Everywhere. This is, even though the title is in English, the book is in Spanish, right here. And it is just comprised of a lot of little, factoids and tidbits about the Beatles. Right there, very short texts. A lot of interesting facts, stuff like that. Here, there, everywhere, and the other one is the big one, which may be one of the, possibly the biggest one I have that I'm going to show here. This is the Beatles Anthology. Of course, this one came out is together with the Beatles Anthology albums and also the DVD sets. Okay, so this is the hardcover version. Beatles Anthology by the Beatles. Pretty thick book with, well, you may imagine, it's a bit cumbersome to flip through. But everything you wanted to know about the Beatles told with, I'm not going to say by themselves, because obviously they had help putting this together. Okay, the Beatles Anthology. Great book. There's a soft cover version of that, and it's a great book. I think it's still more or less readily available. Let's move on now to the Kiss books. Okay, one of my favorite bands. If not my favorite band, along there with Iron Maiden, but certainly the band that I've known the longest. All right, so in this Kiss box set, which has 5 CDs, there is included this book, which is really more of a song by song track list, of all the stuff that is included here in the box set, with full writing credits, full all of the instrument credits, who plays rhythm, who plays bass, lead guitar, drums, everything, Curiously, for instance, let me here for Mr. Speed, the demo version, we have Paul Stanley rhythm guitar lead vocals, Gene Simmons bass guitar vocals, Bob Hewlett lead guitar, and drums unknown. So who knows who played those on the demo for Mr. Speed? All right. So anyway, along with that, there's also some interesting song commentary right there by the band themselves. And I also have the autobiography of each of the 4 members. Now, as I recall, the first one that came out was Gene's book here, which was Kiss and Makeup. As you may expect from Gene, it is very self-serving, of course, but a very, very interesting read, and you get to know him as a person and what his vision is for Kiss, which I found a very honest. He's a very honest writer here. Really good. All of these are recommended, especially if you're a Kiss fan. Then I believe it was the either the Ace Frehley or the Peter Criss one. Okay, so Ace Frehley, No Regrets, and what he means by that, because he did a lot of stupid shit, all through his career and all through his life. All right, a lot of drugs, a lot of partying, a lot of boozing, a lot of wasting opportunities while he was in Kiss, especially if he had written more songs and gotten more stuff on each album, I think it would have been a lot better for him. Okay, so this one I believe, just to give you, because this one came out first, the Gene one, it goes up until their first reunion and farewell tour. Okay, in this one, I believe the reunion and farewell tour and first farewell tour had already passed, and so he was already again on his own. Ace Really No Regrets. This one has some pictures in there, as does the Gene book. And then I don't know if this one or the Frehley one came out first, but it was here. This one, Peter Criss, Make Up the Breakup. Okay. Also very interesting. Of course, of all four books, this one is the one that where I came off liking the person the least, because Peter Criss comes off very, very whiny in this book. Okay. So much more so than with Ace Frehley, he wasted a lot of opportunities, and wasted a lot of time on Kiss. You know, both of these guys infamous for not showing up in the recording studio and then having the band be forced to replace them with a studio musician. You know. But anyway, a very interesting read, which kind of gives you another piece of the puzzle in the Kiss history. Last but not least, I believe the best written book here is the Paul Stanley Face the Music, A Life Exposed. Okay, this one is, and I believe it has the inside cover, him without makeup, right there. Okay, very, very personal, very candid, gives you a lot of details that were either not mentioned or glossed over by the other members of the Kiss. So if you read all four books, you kind of fill in the gaps and really get to know most of the story. All right, so because a lot of stuff is still unsaid, and I believe. But anyway, you should have a very good overview of history after reading all of these four books. And of the four, I think I recommend this one the best. It's a very good read. Paul Stanley, Face the Music, A Life Exposed. Now let's go with what I consider the greatest pop band of all time, and I'm a huge fan of ABBA. All right, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 books on the band. Here we have this Spanish language book, which is ABBA, El Pop que vino el frío, which means the pop that came in from the cold. Right there. A short book, but a good overview of the band's career. None of the books I'm going to show, by the way, chronicle their reunion and comeback, album, Voyage, that just came out last year. Okay, so the pop that came in from the cold, and this one, the complete ABBA, a 40th anniversary celebration, right there. It is more or less chronology of the band, with chronicling their tours, the movie they made, their music videos, recording history, stuff like that. Cool photos. Not as many photos, but it does have a few. And then this one, which is more of a magazine, sort of, which is very basic, but just does have some cool photographs in there. It even has a fold out. Let me see if I can get it. There we go. This is another Spanish language magazine, which I believe is from Spain. And I don't like the title at all, which says Generación Kitsch, Generation Kitsch. I have never considered ABBA kitsch or cheesy or anything like that. I think ABBA is a great pop band with very finely crafted pop songs. Next one here. If you want pictures, you got them. ABBA the Scrapbook. A lot of really, really great pictures in this one of just about everything. The band, record albums, record sleeves, posters, merchandise. ABBA the Scrapbook. Tour laminates. And last but definitely not least, their official book, which weighs a ton. It is this one. ABBA. Simply called ABBA the Official Book. ABBA the Book. Alright. This was released in several languages. This is my Spanish language copy. The official ABBA book. It chronicles the band history and, as you may imagine, profusely illustrated. Love that shot. A lot of never before seen stuff, candid photos, outtakes from album sleeves, behind the scenes stuff. This is essential if you're a fan of the band. Like I tell you, it is heavy, and it is the size of a record album, right there. ABBA, the official book. Well, that's it for my rock and roll library. It's always nice to to read about your favorite bands and have some really cool behind the scenes information about how these bands were formed or how the albums came about, or about the interpersonal relationships of the band themselves. So, thank you very much for watching. Keep rocking, keep reading.